So you want to play as a vampire-type character in your next session. GameMasters here, and back in 3rd edition, we got a book called Libris Mortis, which is Latin for Book of Death. You can take some inspiration there from the Vampire Spawn character option, or you can take a look at Dragon Magazine issue 371 for the Dhampir. Just keep in mind that that's for 4th edition, and its rule set is just strange when compared to 5th edition. But today, we're looking at the Dhampir as it appears in the new Ravenloft, The Horrors Within supplement. Those of you that have Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft are likely already familiar with the Dhampir, but it has been slightly changed. If, on the other hand, you have Asterian's Book of Hungers, and the Dhampir traits here are identical with how they appeared in this newest book. You started off as a humanoid, small to medium in size, and have a speed of 35 feet. And I want to kind of speed through the traits that you gain, not because they aren't special. They do make you a unique character to this species, but more because I want to get into the mindset of the Dhampir and what I feel that this version is missing and lacking. You have dark vision, which lets you see in dim light as if it were bright light, and darkness as if it were dim light. You get spider climb, allowing you to climb on walls and ceilings. Van Richten's Guide gave you deathless nature, which made it so that you didn't need to breathe, but for whatever design choice in Asterian's Guide to Hunger and in the Horrors Within, that's been removed. That's going to be one of the first things that I actually fix in my copy. I'm just going to pencil it in back into the page itself. But Horrors Within does add that you have resistance to necrotic damage. Yeah, we'll keep that too. That's kind of cool. Vampire Bite is the same across all renditions. It's a melee attack. Essentially, you chomp down on someone and cause 1d4 piercing damage. You'll regain hit points equal to the damage that you've dealt, and you'll gain bonus to the next ability check or attack roll that you make equal to the amount of piercing damage that you just dealt. And that's pretty much the Dhampir in a nutshell. Now, what's missing here is more in regards to flavor and ingredients. Van Richten's Guide covered a page and a half, giving to the players some kind of overall basics of what it means to be a Dhampir. Both Asterian's book and Ravenloft's The Horrors Within has reduced that down to roughly half a page. And yeah, listen, while a picture is worth 1,000 words, I can't help but feel that more needed to be said. So, if you've made it this far into the video, this is what I'd offer up to you to further flesh out your Dhampir and give you something to sink your teeth into. You'll want to sit down with your DM to ensure that these changes are going to work at your table and with what they have gotten prepared. But I'd initially determine what your character was like in life. Something happened that you were turned into a Dhampir. Now, keep in mind that in most lore, and this is even outside of Dungeons & Dragons, Dhampirs are not undead. They're living, breathing mortals, but have a mix of both mortal and vampiric traits. What you were prior to being afflicted with a touch of vampirism is important for your character's beginning. So too would be if you were simply born with being a Dhampir. Perhaps you're a result of both a vampire and a humanoid coupling. Regardless, I think that determining that information would be essential for your character, possibly even adding a bit more to it, and this could easily fit into your character background option. To further flesh things out, I'd look at whether you carry any of the negatives from traditional vampire lore. What does garlic do to you? Can you walk around in the sunlight? Do you have a reflection in a mirror? And now, we already know that by consuming blood, you can replenish some of your lost hit points. So it stands to reason that there may be some downsides, or upsides for that matter. What I want to avoid is encroaching upon a class or subclass ability here. So I'd highly recommend not tethering anything to, once you hit level you gain X ability. I'd rather see this as something that's just latent to you from the start. Now, you can also ask, what is your hunger? Does it have to be blood? What if it's fear instead? Like, what if you stand a little too close to someone who's already uncomfortable? Can you feed off of that emotion in some way, off of that fear in some way? Perhaps you feed off of memories, reading old journals or lost love letters, maybe family historical records or treasured heirlooms. Maybe that stuff draws your attention. You don't steal them for wealth. Well, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, that'd be a great little side benefit. But you steal them because somehow those memories carry a sweetness that offsets the bitterness of the blood. Maybe you thirst for beauty and vanity. Fresh flowers are going to wilt in your presence because a part of you leeches their very essence. Gorgeous paintings may peel and crack when you walk by, and you're in a constant mindset of seeking out the next thing of remarkable beauty because that fills your need for something missing. But the very act of simply being close causes that beauty to fall into a disarray. And then there is the question of that every Dhampir needs to be answering. How close are you to becoming the monster? Do you see your condition as a disease to be cured, or is it a gift that you have come to embrace? Or do you exist moment to moment in that secret fear that one day you're going to stop resisting a deeper hunger altogether? Now, if someone offered you a cure in the right here, right now, is that something you would take? And perhaps you've even created strict rules for yourself. Never feed on the innocent. Don't feed on the same person twice. Don't eat when you're angry. But you've got the rules in place to keep that inner beast at bay, at least until you need it to come to the surface. I would also think about how others may react to you. Maybe there's an unexplainable lack of trust. Dogs bark when you approach. Children stare at you a couple of beats longer than you feel like they should. Perhaps clerics have a discomfort around you, but they can't exactly put their finger on why. Then you want to determine what your drive is. Again, all of that can easily fall into your backstory and background, but I just felt that it was missing from what Ravenloft the Horrors Within gave us. I would have liked to have seen a little more exposition, a little more prompting for each of the species, just so that the players could have more to chew on when considering what to play as. To that end, I also want to add some homebrew traits that you can use. Maybe not all of these, but some of the following traits I think would be a very fun spin to the species, or possibly make these optional as a mix and match so that not every Dhampir out there is a cookie cutter template. And I like options and I like variety. So these are some traits that I'll end up letting my players choose from if they want to delve into being a Dhampir. Pale Vigil. This will let them only need 4 hours of rest to gain the benefits of a long rest. And this is similar to the Reborn's Everlasting trait. And if you want to know more about the Reborn, I did a video covering them, and I'll link to that towards the end of this video. So, be sure to watch that next if you want to know a bit more about the constructed Reborn. Grave sense. You can immediately tell if a creature that is within 30 feet of you is alive, undead, or neither. Just think that that's an ability that Dhampirs would have. Hungering gaze. You gain proficiency in either insight, intimidation, or perception when you create your character. Unsettling reflection. I wanted to put this in there to kind of play off of that traditional mirror trope, but you can pick one of the following when you create your character. Either a mirror does not reflect you, your reflection is slightly delayed, your reflection is transparent, or you have a normal reflection. Child of Twilight. Yeah, this is an Easter egg that I had to put in there, and no, you're not going to sparkle. But you will know if it's from dusk till dawn, midnight or noon when you are underground, indoors, or on another plane of existence. Unwelcome guest. You instinctively hesitate before crossing the threshold of a building. You can enter normally, but you are immediately aware if you have crossed into a place that someone considers to be their home. Night Whisper. You can communicate simple emotions and intentions to things like bats, rats, ravens, wolves, and similar nocturnal creatures. They're not compelled to obey you, and they're not going to jump into your arms as friends or pets, but there is a chance that they can follow a simple command based on your intent. Lingering pulse. Should you take a long rest, Your nature alerts you to danger while you sleep. You're able to detect the pulse of living creatures that may attempt to surprise you. As a result, you cannot be surprised unless you are incapacitated by magic or a supernatural effect. I'd also add into the vampiric bite trait, the one that you already get, a third possible way that you can empower yourself, and I'd call it blood memory. When you successfully bite a creature, you briefly experience a flash of emotion from that creature's past. This would be determined by the DM, but it could manifest itself as either a intuition feeling or a memory, giving you a touch of additional knowledge. As a result, it would give you advantage on a persuasion or deception check made against that creature. Of course, they may also be in shock because you just sunk your fangs into them. So again, that one can be purely optional. And there you have it, the overall rundown of the Dhampir. As mentioned, I'd have liked to have seen it fleshed out a bit better in the book. Something to provide a bit more possibility to the player on what they can do with that character. And I will say that how Christian Navarro portrayed Elowen in the Dungeon Masters actual play that recently wrapped up, that is some great inspiration for anyone wanting to tackle the species. Of course, it's just one way to play them, but what are some suggestions and insights that you guys have? What are some tips and overall ideas that you've come up with at your table, or elements of the Dhampir that you'd like to kind of further explore? Let's keep that conversation going down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may your hunger be satiated. Me? I'm hungering for some pizza, so I'm gonna go pick it up. Oh, and be sure to watch this Reborn video next.